There's no council roundup today. No council meeting last night. They have 5 Tuesdays in a month. So yesterday was one of those 5 Tuesdays. They only have 4 council meetings a month. They decided not to have the council meeting last night. So no council roundup today. But if there was a council roundup, it'd be brought to you by Head West Subs. When you want a great sub, you've got to head west. But I do want to take the time to talk to you now and take your phone calls at 217-629-7970. Again, 217-629-7970. Stricter mitigations on the way. Is that what we're going to be seeing here? Governor J.B. Pritzker yesterday being asked about that at a news conference talking about cryptocurrency. But the governor laid out a variety of different things that he's already done in his administration, from requiring that there's regular testing at nursing homes, that those working in nursing homes get vaccinated if they're contracted through the state, and working with certain other state employees on a vaccine mandate, and also having the mask mandate in schools, which is something that a lot of school districts are grappling with right now. But I did want to just get to some of the other things that the governor talked about yesterday when he laid out all of the mitigations that he's had thus far. So here's the governor yesterday up in Chicago at a separate news conference being asked about vaccine mandates, other mitigation with COVID-19, and the like. Here's the governor.
So we're consistently looking at the menu of options that we may need to impose in order to bring down the numbers. I will remind you that if we are not able to bring these numbers down, if hospitals continue to fill, if the hospital beds and ICUs get full like they are in Kentucky, that's just next door to Illinois. If that happens, we're going to have to impose significantly greater mitigations. So those are things that we don't want to go back to. Those are, phases, situations, things on the menu that I think we don't want to go to. But right now, I think, again, we want everybody to wear a mask everywhere indoors, and we've recommended that. That's what the CDC has recommended, and then we've got a variety of mandates already in place.
So what do the other menu items look like? Are we going to see reverting back to capacity restrictions, which really led to a collapse of the state's convention industry, which drives tourism as well? Are we going to see limiting indoor restaurant capacity again? Is that something else that could happen? What are your thoughts about this? 217-629-7970. Let's get to your phone calls. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Hey, Greg, I'm no doctor or scientist, but I think they may have the percentages wrong. I know 5 people with COVID. All 5 of them have the shot. I know 5 people with COVID. 5 of them, all 5 of them have the shot.
Well, when you talk about breakthrough cases, that's something that obviously is top of mind for a lot of people because of the issues of people getting sick, even though they got the COVID-19 vaccine.
Think about that. I know 5 people who have COVID. I know a lot of people in this town. I was born and raised. I know a lot of people that have the shot. I know a lot of people that don't have the shot. But 5 people have COVID that I know personally, and they all have the shot.
Well, again, that's the breakthrough cases are a thing. It's a real deal. Looking at the Illinois Department of Public Health's website here, you've got 1,056 hospitalizations due to COVID-19 despite the vaccine, and 223 people have died of COVID-19 despite being vaccinated. So those are just the numbers of people who have been either hospitalized or who have died from the virus, and they had the vaccine. That's not everybody that's a breakthrough case that got the vaccine. For instance, this week we had Senate Minority Leader Dan McConkey announce that despite getting the vaccine, he had COVID-19. A mild case, but he had COVID-19. You also had the Senate President, Don Harmon, announce that he as well was suffering from mild symptoms of COVID-19 despite getting the vaccine. Now, if they're not hospitalized, they don't get included into those numbers of people who are hospitalized with COVID-19 despite getting the vaccine. But back to the question here of COVID-19 mandates. Is this something that you ultimately are opposed to? Not just mandates, but mitigation. Possibly seeing the governor go back to what he said was a menu of items that he could utilize. And that menu of items included things like limiting restaurant capacity. It included things like limiting crowd sizes, which really does a bad number on conventions, and that's a major driver for a variety of different areas of the state. Are we going to see reverting back to, how many? I used to have the speech all ready to go because we were living it, right? This time last year, the state was split up into 11 different regions. There were 4 or 5 different phases, and multiple regions were in phase 3. Multiple regions were in phase 4, tier 2. Other regions were in phase 4, tier 1. You had others that were phase 4, tier 3, and they all had different capacity limits for restaurants, and you just had some counties that were like, we're not even following this. Nobody can follow this. The goalpost keeps moving. Are we going to see that goalpost move again, despite the governor back last year, if you recall, when he announced his reopening plan, it was going to be no restrictions once a vaccine is widely available. We've got 3 vaccines available widely. You can go get a vaccine today. However, I do have one person who told me that they just recovered from COVID. They want to get the vaccine, and they've been told that they can't get the vaccine for 90 days. So we'll see. We'll stay updated with that individual and see if we can talk with him tomorrow about his situation. But regardless, the vaccine's widely available. Therapeutics are widely available. But yet we're still seeing this kind of mission creep back to dialing up restrictions. But not everybody is in agreement on this. My colleague Kevin Bessler talked with Andrew Chesney. He's a state representative. And he's not a fan of the governor's COVID-19 threats here. Here's what Andrew Chesney had to say yesterday.
Well, no, we can. And the only reason that we went there the first time is for political reasons. And if we're returning to that, it's only for political reasons. It's not scientific reasons.
So he also went on further to kind of scratch his head to all of these mitigations that happened before and the timing of the threat of possibly more mitigations coming. More from Andrew Chesney.
Again, it's all phony science because they'll host over 100,000 people at Lollapalooza, but then they'll tell everybody they have to wear a mask outdoor at the fair. You just can't make this stuff up.
So where do you stand on this? 217-629-7970. You can also email bishoponair@gmail.com. And just to give you a kind of a picture of sorts of where we're at with COVID-19, the Illinois Department of Public Health website, they do show we are, as far as the number of positive cases, seeming to be a little bit above the area where we were back in May, but it does seem to be plateauing just a little bit. But it's nowhere near where we were back in October, November of last year. But then when you look at hospitalizations, and in particular ICUs, we're seeing it about where it was in the spring. Is it leveling off? Looking at the numbers, it's still not clear, but it's nowhere near where it was in the fall of last year. So more mitigation, is that something we need to put in place? And do mitigations even work? Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Morning, Greg. So every time you guys put out or announce the numbers and stuff, I do the quick math to see if it's still around a 99.7% survival rate for all of this stuff. And it always is. It's right around that percentage. So if there was anything else that was going on that you told somebody they had a 99.7% chance of doing this, everybody would jump on board that, that's a big number. But then what seems to happen is the 0.03% people are the gospel truth. Like, they're the ones that everybody is believing, and the 99.7% people are the conspiracy theorists. And that is completely mind-blowing to me, that when you throw out those numbers and you do that stuff, people completely ignore it. It doesn't matter at all to them. They are supporting and basing everything on that 0.3% number. And that seems like more of a hard sell. and blind faith and everything like that, and more of a conspiracy than anything else. And I just can't wrap my mind around people basing everything on that small number.
It's obviously a number that changes with the demographic, right? I mean, nationwide, yeah, it's like 99 point whatever percent. Regardless, 99% of us are still going to be here, even if we get COVID. So, yeah, that number is nationwide, but it decreases. If it's an elderly person, it decreases even more. If it's an elderly person that has comorbidities like obesity or heart disease, it even decreases for younger people who have underlying conditions as well. But yeah, I think when people see that number of 99% survival rate, they scratch their heads as to what we've gone through in the past year and a half, especially now that we've got vaccines. And the vaccines do seem to limit the severity of the disease or of the virus's impact on an individual. But we're still seeing those breakthrough cases. And then you don't even talk about, those who've recovered from COVID and the natural immunities that they've developed from COVID. So there's so much at play here, and I think when people hear about the possibility of more mitigation, they hear about limiting capacity size at restaurants, which limits business, which limits economic activity. They hear about more possible restrictions on schools. And I think after a year and a half of this, people might be a little bit more on the questioning side of all of this. I appreciate the call. 217-629-7970 is the phone number. All right, stay tuned. Coming back, we will get